This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So in previous session, we have done with user administration. Now today we will move on with group administration and then special concepts in Linux environment regarding user administration. So what is group? Guys, group is a collection of users. Now, why do we need to make groups? As in previous time, I told a little bit about it that when we have departments or teams, we need to club people who are working in the same team, same department, or same project for segregation purpose, identification purpose, and for ease of access between the group members to exchange information. For all such needs, we will create groups. As I told you yesterday that there are two types of group, primary group and a secondary group. Primary group is my main personal private group, which is my own individual's property. With respect to a primary group, a user can be a part of many other groups. Those will be termed as alternate or secondary group. For example, you're a team lead, so you have your own personal group, but with respect to that, you can participate in other groups also. Like you have given projects. So one project which is working, you can sometimes work with that project. You can check the other project and you can go with some other project also. If you're a manager, you can go into different teams. You can check the work like that. Or in a very simple thing, if I can tell you, suppose we live in a joint family and we have cars or bikes at our house. So one car or bike would be dedicated to me, that is my personal property. But sometimes, for different purposes, I may borrow or use the car of my father or my uncle or something like that. So same way, a user can be a part of at least one group. That would be his or her private personal group, which is called as primary group. Now, with respect to primary group, a user can be a part of several other groups. Those will be termed as secondary group. So primary group is always one group, but secondary groups can be many. And the information about primary group you can find in etc password itself. If you just log in and check in the machine, if you go to tail etc password. Now, when you refer to this particular file, you will find out that here it is telling my user is having a user ID 1000 and primary group ID is 1000. Now, the thing is to which group that ID belongs to. What is the name of that group? To find the information about all the groups, you can visit a file etc group. So etc group is a file that keeps the information about all the groups. So if you go inside it, especially secondary group can be identified in etc groups. So here you can see that 1000 ID belongs to a group whose name is my user. Now here is the mystery, guys, that we are going to unfold. See, when you run ls-l any file, you find here that username is root and group name is root. So at the beginning of our basics, I told you that a username is root and group name can also be root, right? So why it is coming the same name? Now here is the mystery unfold. Here you see my user is the username. For this user, there is a group which is a primary group. And what is that group name? My user. Now this concept is called as UPG, Unix Private Group Scheme. So in Linux or users private group scheme, in Linux, what happens is as soon as you create a user with the same name, a primary group will also get created. Suppose you have created a user with the name called QDev, so there will be a group called QDev. If you have created a user with the name Satya, so there will be a group with the name called Satya. So whenever we create a user, automatically with the same name, IDs are not guaranteed to be same. Suppose if the new ID 1001 is already taken by other group, it take 1002, but names would be very much same. So same name group will be created. Let me prove it. I'll go and create a user called U1. Now you just check it out in etc password. It says U1 user ID is 1001 and the group ID is also 1001. So the moment I created a user, automatically there is a group with the same name created. Fortunately, we got same ID, but in some cases IDs might not be same, but names would be same. So for U1, there is a group created with a name called U1. So this is how primary groups will get created. Suppose I'll add two more users. For example, user add U2 and I'll add U3. Now you just check it out in etc password. U2, U3 are having same IDs. Now if you just check it out, etc group, same name U2 and U3. So whatever name users you have created, same name groups are also created. This is called UPG, Users Private Group Scheme or Unix User Private Group Scheme. Right? So according to this, when you create a user with the same name, a primary group will be automatically created. Now, with respect to primary group, guys, you can create many other groups and you can add participants inside it as a group member, which would be called as secondary group. Now, first, let us try to learn how to create a group. Later on, we will add members or we'll make it primary or secondary. As of now, I just want to make a group. Later on, we'll try to make it primary or secondary. Now, command line is very much same like what we have seen in your user administration, user add, user mod, user del. Same way, here we are having group add, group mod, group del. So let me add a new group, group add. For example, I'm going to call it my group. If you go and check in EDC group, there is a group created with an ID 1004. Now, so far, it is not a primary group to anyone. It is not a secondary group to anyone. It is just an empty group. Later on, I'm sorry, later on, you can decide whether to make it a permanent or whether to make it a primary or secondary. I'm sorry. So let us say that I would like to add one more group. And this group, I want to choose the ID. I don't want it to take an automatic ID. So if you want to create a group with your choice ID, then you can say group add -G, where G stands for group ID. Now you have to choose a unique ID that is not already taken. For example, I'll go with an ID 1100, 1100. And I want to create a group called SAP GRP. Now, if you go back and check it out, you'll find that SAP GRP is created with an ID 1100. So this is the way you can create a group and decide what group ID you want. Same way, I want to modify the group. For example, I want to change the name of the group from my group to my GRP. I want to shorten it. Instead of going with big thing, I want to go with small thing. And also, I want to change the group ID of a group. Two things I want to modify, name and the ID. So how can I modify a group? To modify the group, you can go with a command group mod options arguments followed by group name. The option to change the group ID is again -G, and to change the name is -N. Please ignore -O. I thought of removing that option, but somehow I forgot to do it from the manual. Overriding a previous assigned ID. That's a dangerous thing. I have seen people fell into problems with that. See, with -O, two groups, you can assign same ID, and that is a bad practice. So I recommend not to use -O. Maybe in the next version of this manual, I'll remove that option. Anyway, I want to modify the group ID and I want to change the name. So to modify this group, I'll go with the command group mod. Suppose I want to change the name only. So I'll say change the name of the group to my GRP, whose current name is my group. You can do both changes at a time, but I just want to show you one at a time. So if you now check it out, that 1004 belongs to my GRP. No more, its name is my group. Let's say I want to change the ID also. So I'll say group mod, change the group ID to 1101 for a group whose name is my group, or my GRP, I'm sorry, this time. Now, if you go for it, you'll see that the ID is changed to 1100. So this is the way, guys, how you can create a group and you can modify a group. Now, if you want, you can make this group as a primary group to any user, or you can add and make it as a secondary group for multiple members. Suppose, guys, I want to change the group and make a user primary group to something else. For example, I have a user called U1. Its group is 1001, which is nothing but the same group name U1. Now, my intention is I would like to change the primary group of U1 to my GRP. How can I change a primary group? If you remember yesterday, we saw user mod. So in user mod, you have an option -G, where G is going to make primary group for any user. You can change a primary group for any user in this way. Okay, so let me go for it. I'll say user mod, change the primary group to my GRP for U1. Now, if you just check it out, you see that U1's primary group is now changed to 1101. And whose ID is that 1101? 1101 ID belongs to my GRP. So this is the way, guys, how you can force a primary group to change. But I don't see any proper usage to change the primary group. Normally, we don't touch the primary group. Whatever primary group got created, we use the same group as a primary group, right? So let me again change it back to the old one. So I'll again say user mod, change the primary group to U1 group for U1 user. So U1 here is a group name and then the username. Now check it out in etc password. You'll find that U1 1001 is the user ID and 1001 is the group ID. So that's the way how you can change a user's primary group. Now let's learn how to make a user secondary group. One way of doing that is with user mod capital G. But this you can do it only with one at a time. That means suppose you want to add 10 users, so 10 times you have to say user mod hyphen capital G for 10 users. Instead of that, you can go with another option, a beautiful option, G password. G password is used for managing your group members. So here you can say G password option argument followed by group name, right? So what are the options we can use here? Hyphen capital M to add multiple members to the group. Hyphen small a for adding just an individual member or single member. hyphen capital A for adding a group member. Guys, nowadays we use WhatsApp groups or many other groups. So in that groups, there will be a group admin who can control the behavior of the group, isn't it? So here also we have something called group admin who can control the group, who can add or remove the members from the group. Hyphen D to remove a member from the group. So if you have multiple members to add, this is the way you do G password hyphen capital M. First user, comma, second user, comma, third user, followed by group name. So how many members are there? You have to give it with a comma and finally mention the group name. All members will be added into the group. Let us say that uh, I wanted to add my user U1 and U2, three members I want to add. How can I do that? You have to say G password hyphen capital M to add multiple members. What are the names? My user, comma U1, comma U2. In which group? The group name is my GRP. Now, if you just check it out, etc group, you'll find out that my GRP is now showing three members inside it. Okay, all right. Now, or I can say grep my GRP in etc group. That would be even simpler. So my GRP is now having three members. Same three members, if you want, you can add it in SAP GRP. I told you a member can be a part of at least one primary group. With respect to primary group, the same member can take part in multiple groups. Same members can be part of different groups. There is no problem with that. Secondary groups. Okay, now I would like to add just one member U3 into the group. So I'll say G password hyphen A. I want to add U3 in my GRP. So it says adding a user U3 into a group my GRP. Go back and check it out. You'll find that U3 has also been successfully added into the group. So this is the way, guys, how you can add members into a group or remove members from the group. In fact, let's see how to remove them also. You can remove multiple or one member. I'm going with one member. So I'll say G password hyphen D, and I want to remove maybe U3 from my GRP. So that's the way you can add a member or you can remove a member. Now let's learn how to make a member or members as a group admin. There can be one or more group admins, same thing like WhatsApp now we uses. You can have multiple admins in the group. So how to check, first of all, is there any group admin available as of now? See, there is no command to check that. In fact, you have to go to a file etc gpassword. See guys, we saw there was a file called etc password, or in fact not etc gpassword, it is etc gshadow. I'm so sorry. etc shadow will keep user password. etc gshadow is meant for keeping group password. Long back, there used to be a concept of group password which is no more existing in current versions of Linux. Previously, when Linux was first introduced in 90s, there used to be a concept of group password. But since Red Hat 5, I'm observing that there is no group password requirement anymore. So previously, if anyone wants to get added into the group, they need to give group password. So now there is no such concept. So G password or keeping the password for a group is no more validated, but this file still exists as it contains group admin information. So you see here I'm having my GRP and there is an exclamatory mark. That means there is no password and there is an empty field. So that empty field is your admin field, which is telling you that this group does not have any administrator so far. Now let me log in as one more user, my user, and let me try to add that user, add a member into the group. Let's say G password add a user U3 into my GRP. What does it say is permission denied. The reason is you are not an administrator to do that. You're a normal user. So if you want my user to get power to add or remove members from the group, you need to make this fellow as a group admin. And how can I make a member as a group admin? You need to say G password hyphen capital A. Now over here, guys, you need to mention administrator's name. And as I told you, you can have multiple admins. You can mention my user, comma, you2, or any other users that you want. In my case, I just want to go with one member. So I'll say G password hyphen capital A, and my user should be the admin for which group? My GRP. Now go back into G shadow file and you see that empty field now has a name called my user. So my user is now the member who is the administrator of this group. Last time when my user tried to add a member, it said permission denied. But now if I repeat the same command without any problem, you see I'm able to add a member into the group. You see, U3 has been successfully added. Not only he can add a member, but he can say G password hyphen D, remove U1 from my group. Go back and check it out. He's able to control the group. So this is the way, guys, how you can add, remove, or control the members into the group. Now, finally, if you want to delete the group, maybe I'm done with group administration, I want to delete it. To remove the entire group, you can go with a command group del. What's the group name? My GRP. Now, there's a very common question that is asked by most of the interviewers that when you delete a group, what happens to the members inside it? Are they also get deleted? No. Members will be there in the system, but they would get deleted from the group. That means their group membership will be lost. Members will be removed from the group and finally the group will be deleted, but they are not completely removed or deleted from the system. So suppose my GRP has three members, my user U1 and U2 or U2, U3, they will lose membership. Their group will be lost, but they wouldn't be completely deleted from the system. So I'll say group del my GRP. Now go and check etc group. You'll find that my GRP is deleted. So this is the way, guys, how we deal with group administration. It's a simple thing, not have too many things to work with like user administration. Now let's move ahead and let's talk about a very, very important topic that is um, special permissions or advanced permissions. See, the chapter name is controlling access to files using special or advanced permissions, or ACL, Access Control List. So first we are going to talk about special permissions. Now what is this special permission? If you look, guys, on a file, you have three permissions: read, write, execute. And you can assign this set of permission to users or groups or rest of the other world, right? So three levels you can apply: read, write, execute permission. On the same three levels, you can give three special set of permission. That is, for users, set UID, for groups, set GID, and for others, you can give sticky bit. What is that set UID, set GID, sticky bit? We are going to learn in a little while. But remember that set UID is applied for users, set GID, group ID, is applied for groups, and sticky bit is meant for others. How can I know on a file setuid, setgid, stickyBit is applied or not? With these symbols. Small s or capital S represents setuid in user permissions. Small s or capital S in group permission represents setgid, and small t or capital T in others permission represents stickyBit. Numerically, they are represented as 4, 2, 1. Okay, how to apply these permissions? Same chmod command you can use. You can say chmod u plus s to apply setuid, chmod plus s to apply setgid, and chmod o plus t to apply stickyBit. U for user ID, G for group ID, and O for stickyBit or others. Numerically, if you want to go, you can go for chmod 4. You remember in UMask we have 4 digits. So I told you to ignore first digit. Why? The first digit belongs to special permission. So in UMask you can go with 4 permissions, right? So here also you can go with 4 permissions. First digit belongs to special permission. 4 followed by regular permission is setuid. Chmod 2 followed by regular permission, setgid. Chmod 1 followed by regular permission, stickyBit. So first digit in that 4 numbers belongs to special permission, setuid, setgid, and stickyBit. Now let us try to talk about what is the role of setuid, setgid, and stickyBit. So let us say, guys, we have one file or we have one command. The command is password command. What do we do with password command, guys? With password command, we change the password of a user and it updates which file? It updates a file etc shadow. Now you know that shadow file does not have any permission. I showed you yesterday that it has no permission. Literally, it is empty with permissions. So if I just show you again, ls-l etc shadow. Is it empty? Yes, no read, no write, no execute permission. That's great. Now, guys, I have a user called root. What is the user ID reserved for root? 0. So root is the owner of shadow file. Try to understand what I'm trying to convey. Root runs password command and updates the shadow file. That is understood because root is a super user. Root is the owner of that file. On that basis, root can run password command and update the shadow file. That is very well understand. But guys, let us say that I have some other user. Let's say that I have a user called U2, for example. Now U2 is not an administrative user to do this task. Let us say the ID is 1001, for example. So U2 as a normal user, when runs password command, do you think it has to update the shadow file which has no permission? Guys, a file is literally not having any permission and that file belongs to root, the most powerful user. How come a normal user is running password command and updating that file which has no permission and that belongs to root? So it is double breach. First of all, the file is not having any permission and this fellow is editing. Second, even bigger breach, it belongs to root user and he is editing the file. How come it is possible that a normal user is updating shadow file? See guys, there is one more rule in Unix. Commands or special executable files. We call these commands are special executable files. To run special executable files or commands, you must be owner of that command. If you are not the owner of the command, you cannot run that. That's the simple funda. That means you should be the owner to execute the command. That's it. If you are not the owner, you cannot execute it. Now again, there is one more breach coming into the picture. Root is the owner of password command, so root is updating shadow file, which again belongs to root, and is updating it with all powers. U2 is not the owner of password command. He is not the owner of shadow file. U2 is running password command, updating the shadow file. How is it happening? So in this scenario, the role of setuid comes into the picture. See guys, on any file, when you apply setuid, at the time of execution. What time? At the time of execution of the command, non-owner's ID will be temporarily changed to owner's ID. That means till the command is executed, U2 user ID will become 0. As it becomes 0, he becomes root kind of thing. So he becomes owner of password command, he becomes owner of shadow file, and with that ownership he is able to update the shadow file. So temporarily U2 is becoming owner of command and owner of file, as a result of which he is getting the power, he is updating the file. For example, I have to go somewhere, maybe to some place I have to visit, but I don't have car or bike with me. So there lives a friend nearby to me. What I do, I goes to my friend and I question him that, can you give me your bike or car so that I can visit nearby? So what he does, he gives me the car or bike. He makes me temporary owner to use it. But once my work is over, what shall I do? Shall I keep it with me forever? No. The moment my work is over, I'm going to return safe and sound that car or bike to my friend. So he's just giving me to use. I'm using that power and returning it back to him. So same way, whenever a normal user is trying to update their password, temporarily they becomes owner and they can only change their data in shadow file. They cannot change anybody else's data. So root permissions are safe. They are not becoming root for everything. They are only getting access to their personal data. As U2, I run password command. As U2, I can only change U2's information in shadow file. I cannot make any others change. As a root, you can change someone else's thing. But as U2, I'll be restricted. I get the power to edit the file, but it only gives me my stuff to be changed. So like that, I can allow non-owners to use the command and update the file. If you don't know this concept, then every time a user wants to change the password, you have to make that member as a owner. Now, when you make that member as a owner permanently of that file, then there is a danger that that particular user is become permanent owner and he can make changes to the file. That is dangerous. So I am not giving the ownership, I am sharing the part of ownership, that okay, use this but access only your personal thing. So with that, the user is able to update the shadow file which does not have any permission, but he is only able to change his or her own password. He cannot make changes to other. Same thing is applicable for many other commands that is available in the system. So what SUID will do at the time of execution of command, non-owner's user ID will be temporarily, not permanently, temporarily changed with owner's ID. So U2 user ID will become 0. He gets root power temporarily. He edits etc shadow file and edit his own password. So with that, he is able to update the file. That's the reason I showed you yesterday that yes, so we are not totally giving the ownership, we are sharing the ownership. The same way as your friend would, as my friend will give me the car. So he shared the ownership for temporary while, but real owner is obviously him. So after I come back from drive, I have to give back my car. So same thing here also, I'm using the power and updating it and returning it back to root. Same thing, wherever you want to safely share the ownership, we go with SUIDs. Okay, all right. Now, let me practically show you how this affect and how can we know whether a file is having SUID, SGID or sticky bit. So you just check out the location of password command. Guys, as I told you, commands are nothing but special executable scripts or special executable files. If they are special executable file, there might be stored at some location, right? So how to know location of any command script? Just say which and any command. For example, cat. When you say which cat, it tells you that cat file command is kept at USR bin cat location. Or you say which user mod. It tells you user mod script is available at USR has been user mod. Same way, if I say which password, it tells that password file is in USR bin password. Just check the permissions to that file. See first to user. Observe in user permission showing you RWS. So what does that S represent? See, first three permission belongs to user. And here, if you see L, is applied. How can I identify whether SGID is there or not? As of now, on my file, there is no SGID. But second set of permission, see, after user, the next set of permission belongs to group. So in group also, if you find S, see next set of permission belongs to group. In group permission also if you see S, that means SGID is applied. Same way, how can I identify sticky bit is applied or not? The last set of permission belongs to others. Now over here, if you see T, capital T or small t, whatever. So last set of permission belongs to others. And here if you see T, that means sticky bit is applied. That's how by seeing the file permission you can see whether setuid, setgid or sticky bit is applied or not. In our current case, in password file you see only SUID is applied. There is no SGID, there is no sticky bit because first three permission is showing S, that means SUID is there. No SGID, no sticky bit. So because of that SUID, all normal users are allowed to change their password. What happens if I remove that? For example, I'll set a password for U3 user. Now, let me log in and try to change the password for U3 after changing the SUID. How can I remove SUID? I'll say chmod. To apply SUID, you have to say U plus S. If you are removing SUID, you have to say U minus S, USR bin password. Now you just check it out. Your first three set of permission are showing normal, read, write, execute. There is no special permission. Let me log in as U3. Who am I? U3. Let me try to change the password. Current password is red. New password I'll give redhat@391. See, it's a correct password accepted first time. Let me repeat it. I'll say one more time, redhat@391. Now you see when I hit enter, is it telling invalid password? short password based on dictionary, nothing. It says authentication token manipulation error. You know what is happening? U3 is trying to run password command and edit shadow file. And shadow file does not have any permission. Normal users cannot even read it. Forget about editing. So they are not able to enter into the file, and that's the reason you are getting that error. So if you remove SUID on password command, nobody apart from root can change the password. Only root can change the password because root is super user. All normal users will not be allowed to change the password. See, in a strict organization where normal users you don't want to give password change option, you will remove SUID. In interviews, people might trigger such question that how I can implement that no normal user is allowed to change the password. The trick is remove SUID from password command and no normal user will be allowed to change the password. Only root can set passwords. That's it. Now, if I apply the SUID one more time, I'll say chmod u plus s. And what is the file name? usr bin password. Just check it out that again that s is back here. Capital or small s, anything can be fine. So S is back. Let me go back to U3 one more time. Last time the password change failed. Now let me retry. First of all, current password, then the new password, Red Hat at the rate 391, Red Hat at the rate 391, two times. Did you see it says authentication tokens updated successfully? So there are many commands in the system that depends on SUID. Most of the trick what you can understand is when a normal user is able to do some part of administration task. That means there is SUID, like user is able to change his password, user is able to view IP addresses, user is able to list the software, right? That means they are allowed to do little bit of work with the help of SUID. So whenever you want to allow normal users to take some little advantage of your admin activities, we will give SUID access to them so that they can do something related to themselves, right? Fine. Now, same is the case with SGID. In SUID, at the time of execution, non-owner's user ID is getting replaced with owner's ID to get ownership and perform certain tasks. Same way, in SGID, at the time of execution of command, non-group member's ID will be changed with the file's group ID. For example, there is a member from my GRP who's executing this command. So my group member's ID will be replaced with root group ID to get root power to do certain tasks. So if you want to allow a whole group to access this thing and perform the task, give SGID. Non-group members will be allowed to execute certain part of that command. But I have never seen SGID used for such role exclusively. SGID has a greater importance. I'll tell you what is that. Let me create one scenario and show you that where SGIDs are treated very important concept. For example, guys, let us say that I have one directory created in slash with the name called sap slash sap. For example, let me redraw it. Let's say I have a directory called slash sap. Owner of this particular directory is root user and group owner to this particular directory is sap grp. Owner is root and there is a group sap grp that belongs the group ownership on this directory. Now guys, I have some other user. Let us say u3. Now u3 is not root, and U3 does not belongs to that group SAP GRP. But this guy comes to your directory and he creates some file. Guys, normally whenever a user creates some data, for example, who am I? U3. Now let me create some data. See guys, whenever someone creates a file or directory, automatically the one who has created the file will become owner of the file. Obviously, who creates the file is the owner of the file. And this fellow's primary group will become group owner of the file. So who created, he becomes owner of the file. And that user's primary group will become group owner of the file. That's quite obvious and normal behavior. But here the requirement changes. Let us say that the application team says that it's okay, whoever has created, he become owner of the file. That's perfect. But all the data that is getting created in SAP should automatically belong to SAP GRP. That means owner should be the real owner. We don't mind. Whoever creates the file, he should be owner of the file. That is fine with us. But all the data that is getting created in this directory should belong to the group called SAP GRP, which is the group owner of the directory. So my requirement is whoever comes to my directory and create the data, ownership should be they themselves. We don't mind. But the group ownership should belong to the directory's parent group, which is SAP GRP. Now, how is it possible? One way you can run chgrp change group. When you run chgrp command and change the group, the person will become group owner. But guys, is it feasible in this directory? Maybe this is related to an application. Thousands of people will come and create thousands of files. So will I be sitting changing the group manually by using chgrp? Is it going to be a feasible solution? Never. So in that scenario, okay, one more thing I'll do on this directory, I'll give full access so that anybody can come and create the data. Now with this full permission, I'll also apply SGID. Now what happens when you apply SGID on the directory? All the data which is getting created in this directory. Maybe in this directory I create files or more directories. So all the data getting created in SAP directory will have automatically SAP GRP as their group owner. Maybe this is a requirement for the application. They needs this type of solution. So we have to give it. SGID is not used only for changing the group ID at time of execution of command. That happens rare. But this scenario you might face many of the time. Let me practically make the scenario and explain you. So I'll go back to root's terminal. As a root, I'm going to create a directory in slash. Create the directory in slash only because slash is the place where everybody can come. For your practical, if you create directory in slash root, then slash root content is not accessible by other users, so you may not be able to see proper results. So create a directory in slash with the name SAP. And I'll also assign full permission so that everybody can read, write, execute the data inside it. Now, if you just check it out, SAP directory has full permission. Owner is root. Till here it is okay. Group owner is also root. Now here I want to change the group. See, we have created a group in group admin class whose name is SAP GRP. So I will change the group manually for the first time for this directory. How can I change the group of any directory or file? You have to use chgrp. To change the owner, ch own, change owner. To change the group, chgrp. Change the group owner to SAP GRP. For which directory? SAP. Now you see root is the owner and SAP GRP is a group owner. This is the proper situation what we want. We have a directory with full permission whose owner is root and the group owner is SAP GRP. As per our scenario, we are almost 90% achieve the scenario. Now let me go back to U3. Who am I? U3. Now U3 is not the owner of that directory SAP, nor U3 belongs to SAP GRP. He is totally a third person. He's just a passerby. Now he goes into SAP directory, and in this directory he creates some files F1, F2, F3. See, so far it is behaving normally. Normally, whenever a user creates a file, he becomes owner, and his primary group will become group owner of the file. It's quite normal, quite obvious. Now I want to change this pattern, and I want to make sure that whenever someone comes here and create the data, it should belong to SAP GRP. So what I'll do, I'll go back to root's terminal and I will apply SGID on the directory. So far there is no SGID. Observe the group permission, there is no SGID. So I'll say chmod. See, for user ID, you have to go U plus S. But if you are going for group ID, you need to say G plus S. Set group ID on SAP. Just go back and check it out. Now the second set of permission is showing S. That means this directory is now having SGID applied. And now you see the magic. The moment a directory is having SGID applied, after that, not before, after that, whenever you creates the data, for example, touch, I create the data 4 to 8. Now just observe here, all the new files that created after applying SGID, it took the group ownership from the mother directory. So whatever directory group is, all the files that are getting created, it belongs to SAP GRP. So with this, we have automated our work. Now, whoever, whenever comes to our directory and create the data, the ownership will be with them only, user ownership. But group ownership will belong to SAP GRP. So all the data that is getting created in this directory will automatically belong to SAP GRP. Now, previously 3 created file, you have to manually change the group if you want to change it. But after applying SGID, all the files getting created that belongs to SAP GRP. And this scenario I have been through. So it's an important thing you should know to give a solution whenever it is prompted. Anyway, while we are working with a proper organization, there will be an SME, subject matter expert, who knows these concepts. But we should also know, whenever such tasks are given to us, we should know what we are doing. We should not blindly follow the documents and do it. We should have our knowledge also to persuade that what we are doing. Okay, now to achieve this concept, here I have called for a security threat. Guys, this directory you have given full access. Now, don't you think, guys, full access is little risky? Not little, heavily risky. It's like you have a gold or jewelry showroom. There is no security over there. So it is very risky. You may be robbed anytime. So here also I did the same thing. I created a directory and I gave full access to anyone. Now let me log in as some new user. I'll log in as my user. Who am I? I'm my user. Now let me go to /SAP. All the files belongs to U3 user. None of the file belongs to my user. Suppose there is a shop and a window shopper is going, a passerby. He came into the shop. Now, when he came into the shop, he did not stay normally. He destroyed some articles and ran away. So here also I'm doing the same thing. I'm removing F1, F2, F8, three files. Guys, none of the file belongs to my user. He came to your directory and he destroyed the data which does not belongs to him. Where's the security? Would you like to maintain such an environment where anybody can come and delete anybody's stuff, take right of anybody's data? No, that is absolutely a wrong concept. So what should I do in this scenario? When we approach the application team, they says, no, you cannot change the full permission. I need full access at any cost. Now, guys, if at least I can remove write permission, people cannot destroy other people's data. But here they are saying that no, we need full permission. So scenario is application team needs full permission on the directory, but we want to protect other people's data also. So what can be done in this scenario? See, in this scenario, the solution is to apply sticky bit. Sticky bit is applied for whom? Others, right? So when you apply sticky bit on a directory, it sticks with the directory and make sure that the contents are only removable by real owner. If you are the owner of the file, you can delete your stuff. If you are not the owner of the file, you cannot even touch other people's work. So full permission will be there. At the same time, there will be protection against deleting of data by others. So let me apply sticky bit and show you how to apply sticky bit. O plus T, U plus S, G plus S, O plus T on SAP. Now you just check it out that your directory is having read, write, and T on others, isn't it? After applying sticky bit, go back to my user. Who am I? I'm my user. All the files belongs to U3. Now I'll try to remove the file rm-f f3 not permitted. How about f4 not permitted? How about all f files not permitted? So you see, last time he came and destroyed the data, but now after applying sticky bit, it says you're not allowed to do this activity. Why? You're not the owner. But can he create his file? No problem. He can say touch M1, M2, M3. See, M1, M2, M3, these three files belongs to whom? My user. Can he delete his files? rm-f M1, no problem. Can he delete other files? No. So a user can only destroy his data, but he cannot destroy other people's work. Same thing, you can check it out with U3. Who am I? U3. If he tries to say rm-f f3, no problem, it is getting deleted. But if we say rm-f m3 or m2, no. So this is what sticky bit will do. It sticks with the directory and makes sure that only the real user is allowed to delete the stuff. Other people can see the data, but they cannot delete it. So protection is applied for that directory. Now, one special rule is there related to SUID, SGID, and sticky bit, what you should never forget. See, we have three special permissions: SUID, SGID, and sticky bit. Where you can apply these permissions, guys? You can apply this permission either on files or you can apply on a directory. Now listen to me very, very carefully that not all permission works for files and not all permission works on directories. Few works only on files, few works only on directory. So remember this thing if you don't want to get confused. Guys, SUID works only on files. If you apply SUID on a directory, there is no role. Obviously, guys, a script can be a file, a command can be a file. Directory cannot be a script or directory cannot be a command, isn't it? So if you apply SUID on a directory, there is no role. It does not work. SGID can be applied on a file. At the time of command execution, non-group member's ID will be exchanged with that file's group ID. And if you apply it on a directory, the content created in the directory will belongs to directories group. Just now the example what we have seen. Now the most surprising thing, sticky bit cannot be applied on an individual file. It only protects the data inside the directory. For example, you created a file, apply sticky bit, log in as other user and delete, the file will get deleted because sticky bit then does not protect individual file. Sticky bit only protect the content what you have inside the directory. Now, if you don't know this rule or if you forget that rule, you will always be wondering and you will always get confused. Stick to it. This is the way it has designed and this is the way it works. SUID works only on file. Sticky bit works only on directory. SGID is the fellow that has role on files and directories both. So that is it, guys, for today's session. I don't want to go beyond this point. If you have any queries or questions so far, you can put your questions now. I guess there are no questions. That's fine. We'll stop the session here, guys, and let's meet up tomorrow and see another important concept in user admin, special permissions, ACLs, and sudo. So thank you very much for today, guys. See you tomorrow.